Strawberries aren't doing very well this year, so when you get one, just eat it. That was amazing. I felt a little bit guilty, so I went and picked 2 more. I'm going to go and share these with Stephen. I had a really nice one and I felt guilty, so I brought you that.
Yeah, it's alright.
Really?
Nice.
It's all right.
Lovely.
Right, you're mowing the lawn, I'll let you get back to it.
Cheers.
So I'm just harvesting some of the tomatoes, and you guys heard me harp on about blossom end rot last week. So this tomato has got blossom end rot. So it's come off the plant that way. I've split it a bit when I took it off, and it had a very slight blossom end rot on the bottom. So I've took the top off it. Sorry, not very good at that. Took the top off it, and you can see it's no good at all. So I just wanted to show you it's pointless trying to keep tomatoes that have got blossom end rot, hoping that you can just chop the bottom off. Just give them to the compost, to the chickens, to anybody. Well, maybe not anybody, but yeah, they're not to be kept for eating. So I'm going to toss this to the chickens, and they'll enjoy it at least. So you can see some of these courgettes have started rotting from where the flower was. So make sure that you catch that and take them off. So I'm just going to I'll cut them off with a knife so it's a bit neater, but these are no good. Obviously they need to go to the compost as well, or to the chickens. Sometimes when you're watering, the flowers can fill up with water and they can start rotting down through the flower to the courgette, and there's probably other reasons, but that's what I think it is. So what I need to do, especially on this plant which seems to be suffering quite a bit, is just snap the flower off. She's not going to miss it. So, and remember, the flowers are also edible, so you can do deep fried or battered, whatever it is, flowers. I've not tried it myself, but I do want to, but it's not very good when you're on a health kick, I know that for sure. So yeah, I'm going to take these ones off that are already going mouldy, and I'm going to get those in the compost. This one is an outdoor courgette, and you see how these flowers here are just forming on stalks and they haven't got a bulb behind them. They're the male flowers. And take the flowers off still just to avoid any rotting, but here's a good example. So this one is growing nicely. It's not ready to let go of its flower just yet, so I will leave that on a little bit, but I'll keep an eye on this one in particular. And look at this guy here, he hasn't been able to grow out of the container so he's growing around it. So I'm going to chop that one off, and that one, if it's not careful, will start to go a bit soft. So I'm going to take this big guy off. See if I can do it with my left hand. To preserve them as long as possible, leave as much of the bit on the attachment on the root. So come out. So this bit here, leave as much as that on the actual fruit or vegetable as possible, and it'll last a little bit longer. Right, what else have we got going on? I'm going to get some spring onions actually. So these guys here, there's a couple of weeds in them, but that's okay. But these are spring onions that were sown in March, 16th of March. So there's some red ones sown, multi-sown. There you go. So we'll have a few of these. I'm doing a stir fry tonight, so I'm going to have a few of those. And then let's get some ordinary white spring onions as well. Wow, some root system on these guys. Let's have you too. There we go. Not a bad little harvest. I wasn't planning on getting any, but I think I might get some of this kale actually. This is the perennial kale, the Taunton Dean. So it's taken quite well. I'll just put my basket down and think that it looks as though the slugs are also enjoying this, because there's no caterpillars on that I can see at the moment. So yeah, I think we'll take from lower down the plant, and we'll have some of you guys. take it where they're kind of overshadowing other plants as well. Oh, what else have we got? These broad beans are ready to come out because these were my first sown, the overwintered ones, and then with the strange old spring that we had, these guys just didn't come on very well. So they're actually just at the same maturity as the ones that were sown in the spring. So what I'm going to do is actually get these out this weekend, take off all the beans and replant. They're starting to get chocolate spots on them. That doesn't affect the quality of the bean. Let me show you. There you go, I can't do it with one hand, but you can see the broad beans in there. Meaty old beans. You would generally double pod these. So that's your first pod, and then take the skin off the one in there as well. So that's your second pod. But yeah, these are fine. Don't be put off by the chocolate spot. So I'm gonna get some more of these guys. Look! Wowzers. I'm gonna harvest this. If I can do it, I need 2 hands, so I'll be right back. We're right amongst a heat wave. It's been like 28, 29, I think it probably even touched 30 degrees here yesterday, which was Saturday. So needless to say, I got up, did the minimum outside that needed doing, the watering and things. And yeah, we didn't really do much. we ate strawberries and blueberries in Pims, if that counts. But today it's early on, it's not that hot yet, but today's going to be another one, another scorcher. So excuse the chicken. I need to get some stuff done, so we're up early. We've already got the jobs done, the chores done with the animals and things. So I'm going to get a few things harvested and a few jobs done that I need to get done before it gets too hot. It's actually red hot already. It's about 21, 22, really hot. Right, I'm going to get on. I haven't had a chance to harvest any of this calendula just yet, or I haven't harvested any of this calendula just yet. Now, it's not fully open because this is just coming into the sun. The bees are working so hard on that borage. They absolutely love it. Anyway, I want to get some of these today, and you can see the chamomile's not out just yet because, as I say, the sun's just moving on to it. So I'm going to chop some of this apple mint back and get some work done on this bed. But it's exactly what I hoped it would be. I mean, the borage, the calendula's just taking over, the lavender's coming out, the herbs are doing really well. Nasturtiums are doing what they do and taking over, so they need tidying up a bit. But yeah, really pleased with this. And the sunflower at the back is looking really well. There's a little one there. There's this guy here. And the nasturtiums. Man, it's long. Right, I've just weeded our autumn planted onion bed. And there's a few in there that I've been meaning to take out for a while. The ones that have already got risen to flower. So if you remember in my last vlog when I said if they've risen to flower that you need to get them harvested pretty quick. Getting bit. So I'm going to get those out, pop those in my little basket to freeze. So when I'm working in the kitchen later when it's far too hot outside, which feels very soon, then I'll get those chopped up and put straight in the freezer. Now there's some decent sized onions in here actually, so I'm going to whip those out because I want to get this bed used for some of the winter brassicas. Now I'm going to flip you around and show you that we've got this hedge here that seems to be anything that's kind of growing next to the hedge isn't doing too well, and this area at the back is shaded for the majority early on in the year. So hopefully the winter brassicas will be okay, but I think this hedge could do with a bit of a trim. So I'll need to see Mr. C for that. Right, I'm going to get all of these onions out now. Some of them that have already been snapped will go into the basket. The others will just be left to cure. We're expecting no rain, so this is good. These are actually already drying, so they're quite feeble. Not feeble. What's the word? So they seem quite delicate, so I'm actually, instead of going to pull them out, I'm just going to get a fork and lift them a bit first. There we go. And then I'm just going to rest them on the side of the bed to dry off. I'm going to do that all the way along. I'll probably run out of space, but I'll figure something out. I kid you not, my eyes are leaking. It is so hot. The temperature is picked up. The temperature has picked up so quickly. Anyway, I've got the bed harvested. I've got quite a few, mostly red onions. I never seem to have the best luck with red onions. Quite a few reds that need to get chopped up and put straight into the freezer. But there's a decent amount. This isn't everything that we've got for the winter, so I'm pleased. These will be used first because the other couple of beds that we've got will hopefully last longer for storage. So let me show you what we've got. There's some decent sizes in there, lots of different sizes. These were both sets from Wilko's. So all I've done is just laid them on the bed with the greens pointing down. So these guys here, this did well. And then you can see lots and lots of gaps, only a few reds. But I don't think the reds will store very well anyway. So this bed now needs just raking. Any last weeds taken out. Now the reason I store them down is because there's an old chap that I know who used to garden for a living. He used to run an estate, you know, like with the big house and the proper old Victorian gardens. Anyway, and he said when you harvest your onions and the curing, always point them down so that any of the juices in the greens don't run back up into the onion and make it go mouldy, and that they sort of run down into the greens. Ideally, these guys here that are that look like they'll store well, if I can plat them and hang them in the kitchen, then that'll be ideal. But yeah, the red ones will be the ones we definitely use first because those guys definitely don't store very well. The whites or the yellows, browns, whatever colour you want to say, will last longer. This is my little basket of reds that have already bolted, so there probably won't be much usable content on these, but I need everything I can get. So I'm going to grab my chair and I'm going to sit here in the shade. So that's where I've been working, where the red watering can is, in full sun. So this'll be a welcome break. All I'm going to do is chop off the greens out here. I'm not using these greens for onion pesto or anything. They'll go on the compost heap, and get these tidied up so that when I take them into the kitchen, there's as little dirt on them as possible. There they are. They're all tidied up. Now look, you see the problem with these ones that have bolted. So there's not going to be much usable content in a lot of these red ones, if I'm honest with you. But we'll take what we can get. These little white ones are so cute. They look really well as well. And some of them were literally the sets that I put in, so they're going on the compost heap. But yeah, they're going to go in fresh use in the kitchen. And I'm going to go and harvest some rhubarb now because I'm going to get some rhubarb cordial and rhubarb wine on the go, I think, while it's too hot to work outside. Now the problem with this rhubarb, it's so prolific, it's taken over the, can you see the red currants there? And there's actually some black currants here. So I need to get in to harvest these guys like this week, as soon as possible. But I can't get in for this rhubarb, so I'm going to work around this line, get as much as I can to get some cordial on the go first, then I'll start with the wine. It's really easy to make the cordial. All we're going to do is chop up 2 kilos of rhubarb, and I'll show you what to do next. So we've got about 2.6 kilos here of rhubarb all chopped up. So for every 2 kilos of chopped rhubarb, you want to add about 200 to 250 ml of water into a pan, and then we're just going to literally soften them, leave them on a really low heat to soften for anything up to like 45 minutes to an hour. You're not going to overdo it if you leave it too long, don't worry, because then what we're going to do is strain the pulp away from the juice. It's the residual juice that you're after, and then we will add sugar to that, and that will become your cordial. That rhubarb has been on for about 45 minutes, and now I've just taken it off the heat, give it a good stir. I'm just letting it cool down a bit before I try and do anything with it. So I'm back outside. The heat is ridiculous now. I think we're about 28, which for me is just too much. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get these broad beans here that we've talked about earlier in the video, and I'm just going to whip the plants out. Between the plants are some potatoes, and I've got no idea how they're doing, so I'm going to have a little dig around, have a feel around, see how they're doing, and maybe get this little patch here, which is 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters, try and get that cleared. Give this bed a little bit of attention because there's some other things coming up in it and you can't really see because of all of the broad beans taking over. So whatever's on them, I'll harvest. I'll take the plants out fully, and then I'll just go and sit in the shade and harvest the beans off them. Then we'll have a little look at the potatoes. There we go. I've taken the hoops out, which are just there for now. And the canes, everything needs putting away neatly. This is the pile of broad bean plants. There's quite a few on there, so these will need all taking off, and then I'll have to pod them in the house, maybe in the shade, I don't know, we'll have a little look in a sec. But these are the potato plants, so these ones are doing quite well. But the same situation as over there, the ones that are next to the hedge, they were also very crowded, to be fair, and not doing as well. Now, when I was pulling the broad beans out, because I didn't just cut them off, I just pulled them out. I can't be bothered today, I'm too hot. So I did notice that there was a few potatoes there as well. In fact, you can see one or two that have actually come off the plants. So there's definitely potatoes in there. But now I'm going to go take these into the shade. Whoo! I'm getting pulled off the plant. Apologies, Steve's using the chainsaw. I don't have time to wait. Something interesting about the beetroot. I'm going to show you that in a sec. But for now, look at these shallots. How good are these guys? So I'm going to harvest all of these and then get this bit tidied up. They're just in a line in the kind of little square 1.5 meters or so that I allocated them. These are leeks. Now these guys here are the Siberian everlasting onion, and I have no idea how I'm supposed to use them. So if you know, please let me know. I'm guessing I eat the tops. Do you eat the bulb? How can they be perennial if you eat them all? Anyway, we've got a few parsnips coming up here. I cleared this out of radish the other week. A few carrots. I'm going to have a look over there just now. Look at this beautiful beetroot. And this one. And all of these. Oh, there's so many. I mean, the sheep won't mind because they'll eat it. And I do have a nice basket full there. But I've never had this before. I mean, that's rats, isn't it? Without a doubt. Oh, they cause so much destruction. Anyway, that's the beetroot problem. Right, this bed had all snowball turnips and some beets and the odd carrot in it. It's still got the odd carrot in it at the back. Stephen has cut the lovage down for me, which was just taken over, and I've harvested all of the turnips. I'll show you those in a sec, and I've popped in some brassicas. I need to finish the bed with all of the rest of the brassicas as well, but I'm completely beat, so I need to make sure I get these covered up so that no pigeons destroy them overnight or in the morning. So over here, there's all the turnips and the beetroot. The beetroot are all underneath there as well. So the shallots are in the little one at the back, but my gloves are on top. So not a bad day. I think that's they'll come out. We've got Savoy cabbage, tender stem broccoli, a different cabbage, and some cauliflower at the moment, I think. Whew. Right, let's get this covered. We're taking some respite in the house. Honestly, it is just crazy temperatures. Have I mentioned that yet? Right, so I'm going to show you the last part of the rhubarb cordial making. So this is so easy, and you can do this with any fruit really. So it's just the harder the fruit is, the more water you need when you're starting off with the cooking down process. The softer and more juicy the fruit is, the less you need. I'll do a few different ones over the summer and things and show you what we do. Rhubarb is by far, well, rhubarb and elderflower are by far the most popular. We're pretty much at the end of our elderflower season here, so I think we'll get one more decent harvest, and then I will preserve some of that for the ongoing for the winter. Elderflower, incidentally, is really good for hay fever. We've found as if try and harvest local elderflower so that it's got the pollen of your area. So some people might say I'm crazy, but that's what we believe. Anyway, this is what the rhubarb looks like after it's been strained. So we cooked it down 45 minutes or so, about an hour. I just leave it until it looks done, and it is the most beautiful summery colour. And this is the resulting juice, which we're going to add sugar to. So we've got about 1.25 litres. Let me just show you. I'm just going to point the camera down. Great camera work here. So this is the resulting juice. The colour is just fantastic. So, excuse me, I've got toothpaste on my top. So this, about 1.25 litres of juice. And to this, the recipe states that for every litre you add 700 grams of granulated sugar. Now, even though I've got a super sweet tooth, even I find that really, really sweet. So I propose that you start off at 400 grams of sugar, something like that, for every litre, and work your way up. If you're drinking it straight away, which we will be for this batch, this won't last us a week, believe me, the kids absolutely love it. But the recipe states for every litre, add 700 grams of sugar. I've got about 1.25 litres here, so I'll probably add 500 or 600 grams. And you're literally going to pop it back on the hob. You're not going to boil this, you're just going to slowly dissolve the sugar, so just heat it up gently and the sugar will dissolve. Make sure it's thoroughly dissolved, then you can pop it into sterilised bottles or just do what we do and keep it in a jug in the fridge, which is super classy, not. But what I will be doing is making more of this each day because I'll be water bathing it so that we can keep it for future use. So yeah, super easy. I'm going to get that done now. This is fresh off the hob. It's quite hot. It's not boiling, but just below boiling. Be warned, this is absolutely moorish. It's delicious. I ended up putting 700 grams of sugar in here with 1.25 or 1.3 litres. It is very sweet, but you do dilute it obviously with water to drink it. So have a play around and see what you like. You can also use this in other, it's really good in gin, really good in lemonade. You know, you don't just have to have it with water. So have a think, there's lots of different variations that you could try. And let me know if you do try it, but yeah, highly recommended. Look at this mess. The turkeys have decided they don't want to live where we've asked them to live and want to come and live amongst the nettle patch. You know, the bits that you don't want to show on camera. Look at him stretching. Talk about relaxed. Whew. Well, another week. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you've enjoyed seeing what we're harvesting from the garden again. It's all about the harvest at the moment, but don't lose sight of sowing those seeds, because once you've harvested everything, you need something to go back in the ground if you're planning on growing through winter, which I am definitely. So do you remember those cabbages that I was going to harvest a week or two weeks back? They still haven't been harvested, and I'm so pleased because we're getting so much more cabbage for our book now. So they've put on extra growth. They definitely do need harvesting really soon though. So I'm going to do a big separate session on harvesting all of those cabbages. There was 24, but now there's 23 because I made some coleslaw with one. And I'll show you what I'm going to be doing with them and how I'm going to be preserving them. So that's going to be a separate video. I won't do that as part of a vlog. But for now, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed seeing what we're harvesting, the rhubarb cordial and just some of the week's goings on. The heat is intense still. I'll try not to mention that as much on next week's vlog. I just can't get over it. It's like unheard of for us in the northeast of England. But I'm going to crack on. I'm going to go and do all of the animals' water for obvious reasons. They need it topped up all of the time. And it's so peaceful today though. It's fantastic. Thanks for joining me for yet another week. There's Mr. Cockerel. I'll sign off for now and I'll talk to you in the comments below. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. I'd really appreciate that. Bye for now, guys.